Tonight, we welcome the ultimate dream team. Without further ado, authors, come on down, starting with Riordan. Korman. Jude Watson. Mull. And James Dashner.
Wow, thank you guys for being here. We are so excited to be with you tonight. We got some cool stuff ahead of us here. What we're going to do is we're going to sort of do a reader's theater of different scenes from the different books in our respective series. We're going to start with The Maze of Bones, which I wrote, the first in the original 39 Clues series. Just to set up this scene, the Cahills family is spread out all over the world, but for this event, they've all come together at the family mansion for the reading of Grace Cahills' will. And there are some strange surprises that are going to be in store for them. I'm going to be reading a narrator's part, and I will play Grace Cahill. James will be a narrator. Jude will be Mr. McIntyre. Gordon will be Eisenhower Holt and the narrator. And Brandon will be the narrator. The Great Hall was as big as a basketball court, with tons of armor and swords lining the walls, and huge windows that looked like Batman would crash through them at any minute.
William McIntyre stood at a table in front with a projector screen behind him, while everybody else filed into rows of seats. There were about 40 people in all, including the Holts and the Cabras and Aunt Beatrice.
Mr. McIntyre raised his hand for quiet. Come on, guys, get into it. He slipped a document from a brown leather folder, adjusted his bifocals, and began to read.
I, Grace Cahill, being of sound mind and body, do hereby divide my entire estate among those who accept the challenge and those who do not.
Whoa! What challenge? What's she mean?
I'm getting to that, sir. You have been chosen as the most likely to succeed in the greatest, most perilous undertaking of all time. A quest of vital importance to the Cahill family and the world at large.
40 people started talking at once, asking questions and demanding answers. Perilous undertaking? Cousin Ingrid shouted. What is she talking about? I thought this was about money, Uncle Jose yelled. A quest? Who does she think we are? We're Cahills, not adventurers.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you will direct your attention to the screen, perhaps Madam Cahill can explain things better than I.
Dan's heart did a flip-flop. What was Mr. McIntyre talking about? Then, a projector on the ceiling hummed to life. The shouting in the room died down as Grace's image flickered on the screen. She was sitting up in bed with Saladin on her lap. She looked healthier than the last time Dan had seen her. The video must have been made months ago, before her cancer got bad.
Dan got a lump in his throat. He had a crazy urge to call to her, Grace, it's me, it's Dan. But of course it was just an image. He looked at Amy and saw a tear trickling down the base of her nose.
Fellow Cahills, if you're watching this, it means I am dead. And I have decided to use my alternate will. No doubt you are arguing amongst yourselves and giving poor Mr. McIntyre a hard time about the contest I have instituted. You always were a stubborn bunch. For once, close your mouths and listen.
Hey, wait just a gosh darn minute here. Eisenhower Holt protested, but his wife shushed him.
I assure you, this contest is no trick. It is deadly serious business. Most of you know you belong to the Cahill family, but many of you may not realize just how important our family is. I tell you, the Cahills have had a greater impact on human civilization than any other family in history.
More confused shouting broke out. Irina Spassky stood up and yelled, "Silence! I wish to hear."
My relatives, you stand on the brink of our greatest challenge. If you accept, you shall be given the first of 39 clues. These clues will lead you to a secret, which, should you find it, will make you the most powerful, influential human beings on the planet. I now beg you all to listen to Mr. McIntyre. Allow him to explain the rules. Think long and hard before you make your choice. I'm counting on you all. Good luck and goodbye.
Thank you so much. I'm Gordon Korman, and I am the author of book 1 of the second series of the 39 Clues, 39 Clues, Cahills versus Vespers. We all know the Cahills are the most powerful family in human history, but that does not mean they have no enemies or rivals. For the past 5 centuries, a shadowy group known only as the Vespers has been waiting in the wings, biding their time to make their move on the Cahill family. At the same instant, in 7 different time zones around the world, 7 Cahill cousins are kidnapped. And the ransom demands are given to Amy and Dan. They have to steal priceless artifacts from museums all around the world and hand them over to the Vespers. So the scene we're about to perform is when Cahills are beginning to disappear from all over the world, and Amy and Dan meet with their lawyer, William McIntyre, to try and figure out what's going on. So I will be playing the narrator. Rick will be playing, we'll see him stretch himself as an actor a little bit. He'll be performing Amy Cahill. Brandon will be Dan Cahill. And James will be Mr. McIntyre, but he will do the greatest stretch of all. He will also be performing Sinead Starling, another Cahill cousin. We'll be asking you to stretch your disbelief a little bit. Hint, Sinead Starling does not have any facial hair. The lawyer ushered them into the old-fashioned Victorian parlor, where Saladin held court atop a stack of cushions that looked very much like a throne. He issued a stately merp of greeting.
Merp, merp. Early this morning, Fisk Cahill disappeared from the El Rancho Jojoba Spa in California.
Well, you know Fisk.
He was last observed wearing a bathing suit, approaching the hot tubs. All his belongings, including his cell phone, are still in his room. There's more, I'm afraid, much more. At around the same time as the last known sighting of Fisk, Reagan Holt went out on a training swim in the Caribbean and never came back. Natalie Cabra was reported missing from her boarding school, and in Tokyo, young Phoenix Wizard vanished from one of his cousin's concerts.
A little over an hour ago, our bus was attacked by 3 men in ski masks. They definitely knew me, and probably Dan too. We fought them off, but it could have gone either way.
Like if they'd used a cookie truck instead of a gas tanker. Nobody's scared of Oreos.
The police think they were after ransom. I was half hoping they were right. Now we know better.
Yeah, but that's all we know. Everybody we care about is disappearing.
There was a frantic pounding at the door. And in burst Sinead, Her usual expression of calm control was gone. She looked like she'd been pulled the wrong way through a hedge, her cheeks flushed, her eyes wide.
Ned just called from Tel Aviv. Ted and Alistair have been kidnapped.
Kidnapped. The word echoed through the large room. So many disappearances in so many places. It couldn't be a coincidence. Someone was kidnapping Cahills.
Well, aren't you going to say anything? Don't you even care?
Sinead, we've got some news that you should hear. Ned's our first real witness. Now we know for sure we're dealing with kidnapping.
Hallelujah. With that and $1, you can buy a lottery ticket. Now, tell me something useful, like who these kidnappers are and what they want. Or why us? Or who's next?
All at once, the thought flashed between brother and sister like radar.
Nellie.
Nellie.
Nelly.
Hello, everybody. I am Jude Watson, and I have written 4 39 Clues books. Thank you. And the latest series is Unstoppable, and I wrote the first book in that series called Nowhere to Run. But I just want to mention before I set up the scene that a very important component of all of our series is the internet component. We know that maybe some of you like to go on the internet from time to time. And we wanted to incorporate that, Scholastic wanted to incorporate that into the series. That's why they're called multi-platform. You can go on, you can play games and puzzles, and the reason that we're doing that is because that's where you like to go. And so you can go back and forth between the books and the internet, doing the games and the puzzles, and really feel a part of the story, if that's what you want to do. So, in Unstoppable, Amy and Dan meet up with their greatest enemy yet. The only problem is they don't know who it is. So this scene takes place very early in the book when they go to New York to look for a clue. And while they're there, a car pulls up and 2 men in suits come out with FBI badges and say, we need to talk to you downtown. And they get in the car, and suddenly all the locks go down, and they can't get out. And it's soon clear to them that these are not FBI agents. These 2 men drive them north of the city to an isolated place, a bridge called the High Bridge in northern Manhattan, which actually exists. It used to carry water to the city, so it's really wide. And it's closed to the public. And there are big iron gates and big iron chains, and these men just blow through them like butter. And they take them to the edge of the railing, and that's where we're going to pick up the tense scene. So Brandon will begin as narrator.
You've got a choice. The voice was low at her ear. After all that exertion, the man wasn't even breathing hard. You can go over the side and land in the river, or the highway. The river's gonna feel like concrete anyway.
The other man snorted a laugh. He was short and muscular with a blonde buzz cut. You see how nice we are? We're letting you choose. Amy saw Dan's chin shaking. Then he gritted his teeth. Couple of choir boys he forced out.
Amy wanted so badly to reach out to him, grip his hand.
Yes, Squirt.
The shorter man holding Dan's hand said,
And you're a couple of daredevils horsing around on the bridge. I can see the headline now.
Choose, or we'll choose for you. The man holding her wrist grinned. Amy saw the flash of perfect white teeth. She saw him up close, the texture of his pores, the shape of his eyebrows, his ears. What kind of person, she thought, would throw 2 children off a bridge like it was all in a day's work?
They dragged them to the railing. The river was a dark, oily channel. The streak of car lights on the road, the lights of the low buildings, the faint sound of a car horn. Honk. Her teeth were chattering. She looked straight up at the luminous sky.
River, she said. The men released their wrists. Amy grabbed Dan's hand at last. Her baby brother. She couldn't save him. She had spent months running, training, lifting weights, and studying martial arts.
And here they were, on this high bridge with nowhere to turn. They wouldn't jump without a fight, but she knew they'd lose. She'd rather go down fighting. She felt Dan's hand tight in hers. She knew he was waiting for her signal.
Come on, kiddies. We don't have all day. Climb over the fence. The metal railing was wet and cold. Amy curved her fingers around it. She put her hand over Dan's.
Get going, the man behind her barked. He put his hands on her waist and pushed her roughly up. Amy felt her balance wobble as she hung on to the railing. Panic roared through her as she started to tip over into space.
Amy! Dan screamed. The man tried to tear her hands away from the rail. She couldn't breathe as she squeezed her around the waist as she kicked, trying to push off the metal railing and sent him off balance. She had barely registered her shock when she was suddenly flipped over the railing. Amy screamed as the dark river rose up below her. She heard the squeal of brakes.
And someone had her by the ankle. Dan's face, looking down at her, his mouth open, his eyes wild with terror. He had both hands wrapped around her ankle while the goon behind him had his arm wrapped around Dan's neck. Dan's face was purple, screaming. Amy swung in midair.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Brandon.
I'm Brandon Mull, and I write fantasy adventure novels, stuff like Fablehaven and Beyonders. And my multi-platform series I got to be involved with is Spirit Animals. In Spirit Animals, which is the first fantasy multi-platform, we go to a world called Erdus. In Erdus, when you reach a certain age, there's the chance you could summon a spirit animal. If you do, that animal becomes your lifelong companion and friend. In this story, we follow 4 kids who each come from different parts of Erdus, who each summon a spirit animal. In this scene, we'll be at a nectar ceremony. The animals get summoned after someone drinks this nectar called the nectar of Nanani. It doesn't happen very often, it's fairly rare, and in this scene, only 3 kids are getting the chance to try the nectar. One is a young lord named Devon, one is a girl named Abby, and one is a boy named Connor, who's actually Devon's servant. There's some high expectations for Devon to perhaps summon a spirit animal because he is a lord and because his father summoned a spirit animal when it was his time. We'll start this scene with Judy performing the role of Asilla and the rest of us basically functioning as narrators.
Good setup.
Thanks, man.
Hear ye, good people of Transwick. Before the eyes of man and beast, we are gathered here today to participate in the most sacred rite in all of Erdus, when human and animal unite. Their greatness is multiplied. We have come to witness whether the nectar will reveal such greatness in any of these 3 candidates: Lord Devon Transwick, Abby, daughter of Graal, and Connor, son of Fenray.
The cheering. You're adorable. The cheering after the mention of Devon all but drowned out the other 2 names. Connor tried to remain impassive. If he sat still and kept calm, soon it would be over. Devon would drink the nectar first in the place of honor.
Asilla bent over to raise a plugged flask, the leather tooled with intricate designs. After raising the flask above her head to display it to the assemblage, she unstopped it.
Devin Trunswick, come forward.
The crowd whistled and clapped. As Devin approached Isilla, then quieted down as she put a finger to her lips.
Receive the nectar of Ninoni.
Connor could not help but feel excited as the flask tipped toward Devin's lips. This might be the first time he witnessed a spirit animal summoned from the unknown.
Devin swallowed. Isilla stepped back. A deep hush fell over the square. Eyes closed, Devin tilted his face skyward. Somebody coughed. Nothing out of the ordinary was happening. Perplexed, Devin looked around.
Connor had heard that a spirit animal either came right after the nectar was tasted or never. There was no sign of anything appearing nearby. The crowd began to murmur. Hey, where's the animal? What's with this?
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Devin. You may sit down. Abby, daughter of Graal, come forward.
Devin looked queasy. His eyes were blank, but his posture betrayed his humiliation. He glanced toward his father, then looked down. When he lifted his eyes again, his gaze had hardened, the shame turning to fury. Connor looked away.
Abby drank, and, as Connor expected, nothing happened. She returned to the bench.
Connor, son of Fenray, come forward.
Hearing his name called gave Connor a nervous thrill. If Devin had failed to call an animal, Connor doubted he had any chance. Still, anything could happen. Connor knelt before Isilla.
Receive the nectar of Ninoni.
Connor put his lips to the offered flask. The nectar was thick, like syrup, and richly sweet, like fruit and honey. He swallowed. It tasted amazing, better than anything he had ever tried.
Isilla withdrew the flask before he could steal another sip. One swallow, which lasted a very long time, was all he would ever sample. Connor stood in order to return to the bench, and a burning, tingling, twilight-like sensation spread through his chest.
Animals began to cry out. The birds shrilled. The wildcats yowled. The bear roared.
Meow! The ground began to tremble. The sky darkened, as if a swift cloud had overtaken the sun. A brilliant flash pierced the gloom like lightning. Onlookers gasped and murmured.
What could that be?
Dazzled by the flash,
Connor blinked repeatedly to restore his vision. Hot tingles spread from his chest along his limbs. Despite the oddness of the moment, he felt joyful.
And then he saw the wolf. Oh! See.
All right. We know you guys are amazed by our incredible acting talents. There is one more to go, so bear with us. My name is James Dashner. Hello. And I'm best known for a series called The Maze Runner. And there's a movie coming out in September. No, I don't want to talk about that. But
He hates talking about
I
that.
know, I hadn't heard it. I
Makes
didn't
him
know.
very uncomfortable. Don't bring it up.
Yeah. But I was very honored and had a blast writing the first and the last book of the Infinity Ring series, which is a time travel story that takes place in an alternate version of this world where history has gone wrong and lots of things messed up and the world is in really bad shape. So Dak, Sarah, and Rick, not Rick Riordan, this other guy named Rick, they have to go back in time to start correcting some of these things that went wrong. Well, in the first book, they find themselves on the Santa Maria, which is a ship, Christopher Columbus, and they're trying to prevent a mutiny. And in this scene we're going to do, they have been thrown into a prison cell, and they're being rescued by this dude named Eyeball. He only has one eye, or his name would have been Eyeballs, okay? I will be playing the highly coveted role of Eyeball. Jude Watson is playing Sarah. Gordon is playing Dak. And Brandon is playing Rick. All right. Oi! Don't sit there like a wart on a witch's nose. Come on.
But how? Why?
Oh, wash my boots, you stupid kid. I've been putting on an act because you never know what side the gods are on. Gloria and I were even careful back in town. SQ's been crawling like lice all over the docks for weeks. But she sent word ahead while you lot took the scenic route. Besides, I'd have hoped you'd seen my crystal clear heart through the beauty of my glorious eye. Now come on. I've learned enough myself to know we got to stop this mutiny.
Dak?
I'd kind of given up, but then you came along by yourself, and I was kind of hoping we could beat the tar out of you. And now you're letting us out? I'm a confused boy. Let's do this thing.
Beat the tar out of me? What a really stupid kid.
Finally, someone said something that makes sense.
Oh, I noticed that smelly boy, Ricardo, sneaked down here this morning. So I approached him. Oh, does that bloke stink like fish or what? I told him I was on your side. He didn't believe me. I thought his rank little heart might explode on me. Until I showed him some weapons I've hoarded over the last couple of voyages. By hoarded, I mean stole. Did I mention that boy smells?
Yeah, you did. I never noticed it myself.
Then you must be something clogging that little nose of yours. Try picking it more often. Works for me. What was I going to say?
Stow it.
Stow it! That was a really late line. We don't have much time. Since word's gotten out about the plan, the brothers are planning to strike at midnight. I've got my own spies about, you know.
How do we know you're on our side?
Why in the blazes would I be letting you out if I weren't? I'm doing it mainly for the love I have for Gloria. She doesn't know it quite yet, mind your smarts. But my heart's been hers ever since I first laid my eye upon the glorious vision of her clobbering a cow with that big club of hers. Oi, what a woman. Oh, and so, here I am at your service. One eye or none, I'm the best you got.
So what are we gonna do? Should we just smash into the Amancio's room? Throw them overboard? Stop this thing before it even gets started?
Do that, and we'll be the ones accused of a mutiny, you stupid ninny. No, sir, we need to lie low until those turncoat brothers make the move against the captain. Then we come in and save the day. Every slimy-haired runt on this ship will know we're the heroes then.
That's the plan, you nitwit? What if the guards come down and see that we're gone? What if the Amancios do something bad to Columbus before we can save him, slit his throat, or poison him?
What if the moon cracks open and drops Justin Bieber on top of us? What if my legs fall off and start dancing? We'll do our best, that's all we can do.
Well, a brute force just doesn't seem like the most thought out plan, is all.
Sometimes you just need to go for it.